This is a comic that people keep requesting or expecting us to review. This is a current mini-series from Marvel, and the reason I have been reluctant to review it is because it's called Tarot. As watchers of this YouTube channel will know, I have got a rule that any comic that involves tarot cards is immediately awful. And well, this one, it's fucking named after them. This series is an Avengers and Defenders team-up story. It's a continuity insert by David Allens, and people assumed that I would like it because of that, but I didn't really like this. I like parts of it, but I find the whole thing to be a bit vacuous. We have got a good writer, we have got a good artist, but I just didn't really think that it's anything remarkable. The two things that people assume this would appeal to me for, the Defenders and it being a continuity insert set before the Marvel Universe was shit, well, I find both of those elements to be a bit of a fumble. By the way, it was about a year ago when I said, I was the first to say this, I want it on record, you can go back and you can watch all my old videos and you can see, I pointed out that Marvel will be doing this for years and years, milking Stanley Lee's death and doing this whole selectively picking out our text pieces to try and present the narrative that Stanley Lee was just like them. He was a fan-hating leftist bully. He died over a year ago and they're still doing it. Like most rubbish stories that didn't have enough gunning for them, this one starts off with yet another Captain America World War II adventure. Can we put that on the list as well? I've said before, Captain America, he has had more adventures, more retconned adventures like this in World War II than there were actual battles in World War II. Also, we'll see this in another new comic I'm reviewing soon. Whenever they do flashbacks to World War II, they always give Captain America his original shield. He didn't have this for long. He had it for like his first appearance and that was it. But nowadays, whenever they show flashbacks to the war, Captain America, he is always depicted with this shield, even though he upgraded to the iconic one straight away. And here, Captain America, he isn't even wearing the original costume that was parallel to having this shield, the one that had his neck out. Then what happens is Captain America, he becomes the Hulk. That's Marvel's only real idea these days. Slap two prominent characters together like this. Have X get Y's powers. Have Y get X's powers. Have X get Y's powers. And Y get X's powers at the same time. By the way, this is meant to be an Avengers and Defenders story, and the first 11 pages have instead featured the Invader of Us. Now we are in the modern day, that is actually the past day. I'll get into how this is a continuity nightmare in a bit, but right now this is a bit that is good. We have got the Defenders and they are fighting against their enemy, Sirius Black. You'll remember he was fantastically played by Gary Oldman in the MCU. So they are fighting against him. And this scene is good. It's actually good. We've got the Defenders being heroes, fighting against an hard baddie. And this is kind of what I want. Sirius Black, he first appeared in Defenders number 6. One of the better stories of the first 11 Defenders issues that I didn't have. And then he appeared in Doctor Strange 34. And then there is a weird backup story, an original story that is in Marvel Tales or a reprint book like that, where he fights Batman. Anyway, he dies here, and this will bring us onto the continuity aspect, which is flat out bad. This story, it would seem to take place sometime after Defenders number 6 and before Defenders number 12. Silver Surfman being the big indicator of that. Actually, no, that's where he dies. But yeah, this iteration of the Defenders, it's not great. It's not a fun lineup, really. It's the one that people gandy because they've not really read any Defenders comics. They've only read the original Avengers versus Defenders story. And that is the other problem. This seems to be set very close to that story. And the idea there was 2 Avengers versus Defenders stories, almost one after the other. Well, it's just a rubbish idea. Then we get to the Avengers and the continuity gets even more dicey because the Avengers team we see here was never an actual lineup. It seems to be set right after the original Avengers vs Defenders story, but David Allen's, he has dropped characters from the Avengers that he wasn't interested in, namely Black Panther from that film, Hawkeye, Swordman and Willow. Well, nobody is interested in Willow. The best place you can fit this for the Avengers is in between issue 113 and 114, and just say that Black Panther, he was away in Hollywood. But then if it's set then, that means it is set before the Defenders ever fought Sirius Black in Defenders number 6, and possibly also before the first appearance of Velcro. So it doesn't work. The plot here isn't interesting. The idea of having these teams battle or team up, it's only exciting if you haven't seen it before. And this is not exciting because we have seen almost these exact iterations of the respective teams fight and then team up in another comic. And it starts to feel like the nostalgia factor is just for that original story. Like David Allen's, he just wants to do a soft remake or a retelling, and well, I never thought it was a good story to begin with, but I definitely don't think it's a good story if your major new contribution is fucking tarot cards. Yeah, the baddie, he gets the Avengers and the Defenders to fight through the use of magic tarot cards. And I don't think I need to offer a final conclusion on this one. Maybe if you want an hard school story and you haven't read the original Avengers Defenders story from the 70s, and if you're not a continuity nerd who notices how shit the continuity is here, and maybe if you are so basic that you think this roster of Defenders is the most fun one, and if you can stomach tarot cards, then maybe this is a comic for you. It's not the comic for me, even though it seems to have been made explicitly with someone like me in mind. They coincidentally put tarot cards and bad continuity into the book, making the whole endeavour moot. Actually, it was the editor on this poorly edited thing. Oh, big surprise, it is Tom Beevor. I would have guessed it was him or Gordon B. Shite. I rate this comic 7 thumbs up. There is the code if you want it. First come, first serve and that.